Well, are you happy with the CD, the way the CD came out?
I haven't listened to it actually. I don't really like listening to myself, but so in place of that, I take the what other people say about it, and people seem to like it.
Oh, good,
You
good.
know.
Spider, getting back to, I guess, back in the early '60s, you're doing blues music, and Bob Zimmerman, I guess, Bob Dylan left off to go to New York. Did your paths cross at all after that early college time?
Rarely, but occasionally. Usually, yeah, at some folk festival or something like that. I was there the year he went electric.
Uh-huh.
That was interesting.
Oh, you were at Newport when he went electric?
Yeah, I was on the bill for something else, but
People were booing in the audience, right?
yeah, it was quite strange.
Yeah.
I was backstage, or if you want to call it backstage. They got a big chain link fence with a tarp over it, so you can't see the audience and they can't see you. And he got done with his first song, and I heard the sound. And I thought, what the hell was that? And I pulled up, looked over the fence, and yeah, there was people. And the rumor was that Pete Seeger was looking for an axe so he could cut the electricity and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, 6 months later, everybody was trying to do like he did.
Go electric, yeah. Well, there's so many stories about that time at Newport. Pete Seeger, I think, did have an axe because he was on stage doing some folk song with the rhythm of chopping wood.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. They had like 3 or 4 black guys performers, They had this big log on the stage, and everybody had an axe, and so you sing like that. And I noticed, people are trying to chop their thing, but one of the guys, it seems to me like one of the, I can't remember who, but one of the smaller guys, he was like 2/3 through that damn log by the time he got done with it.
Well, you got to hand it to Pete. I mean, who would book them into a folk festival? The wood chopping singers. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he was, I mean, God bless Pete. You can't say anything other than that.
Well, how well did you know
Unless you're
Pete?
a communist hater or something.
Or a communist hater. If you're a communist, I suppose you'd love Pete Seeger.
Yeah.
But how well did you know Pete Seeger? Did you meet him in those early days?
I don't really remember that well. We crossed paths, I'm sure. The only thing I really remember was we were all at a festival up in Canada one year, and everybody, after it's over, we're all getting ready to get at the airport and get on our respective planes, and something was wrong, computer down or something like that. So there's this long line sitting there just waiting, nothing happening, and I'm standing next to Pete, and he can't handle it. He got to get his damn banjo out and start playing.
And what did you do at that? You kind of walked away?
No, it was fine with me. I mean,
You were singing. Were you singing with him, or did he get the other people waiting to sing along? Or was
that
he...
part I don't remember.
Okay, so you went back at, I guess, one of the first festivals you were booked was at the Philadelphia Folk Festival.
That's where it began. Yeah,
That's where your career as Koerner, Ray, and Glover began.
Yeah, we Elektra Records had picked up the first record we made out in Milwaukee, and they've reprinted it. And then they had us out to New York City to record a second album, and that was just before the Philadelphia Festival. And he had a way of getting us on the stage, even though we weren't booked,
So you were unknown when you first appeared at
basically,
the...
yeah.
What was the reaction of the crowds when they heard you?
Oh, it was interesting. They never seen 3 white boys behave like that. I don't think. We'd been drinking and all that.
Also because they didn't see 3 white boys playing the blues music.
That's part
like
of what I mean. Yeah.
Well, the drinking has. Everyone did that, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Jack Holtzman, who was the owner of Elektra, he said, when you get done with your performance there's going to be this guy. He's going to come up and he's going to want to manage you. He just knew this by intuition, and he says, I'll give you a bottle of Jack Daniels if you'll mess him around, And so this guy comes up. He's got his routine and all this shit. He wanted to manage us. And after it was all over, he went back to Jack and he said, "These guys are not manageable."
Do you know who it was by any chance, or did he
geez.
manage other folks, or did you ever like turn down a manager you said, "Oh, I should have gone with that guy"?
No, and I can't remember this guy's name, but it's it's in my head somewhere, but I can't dig it out now.
Okay.
But I had the great fortune for a period of a few years to have a person who I thought was the real thing all the way, and that was Manny Greenhill.
Oh, sure. From Folklore Productions out in California.
That's correct. And he was one of these people. He was super. I mean, he made sure everything was right. He went to see his performers play. He liked what his performers were doing. He was into it, and he was completely above board, made sure everything went smoothly. Great man.
Manny. And his son Mitch, too, was a performer, right? He took over the company for a while. Yeah. Spider John Koerner is here. And, I know Dave Ray, one of your partners, he passed away, I guess, about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's 11 now.
11. And Tony Glover, he's gone into writing, and does he perform at all still?
Occasionally.
Okay. You still see him?
Yeah, now and then. We work a job now and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody ever ask you to do a reunion type show?
With Tony?
Yeah.
No. I mean, it's kind of... we play jobs. I don't know if anyone wants to think of them as being reunion or not, but missing Dave... Actually, when Dave died, we had a thing in a big venue there in Minneapolis, and Tony and I played with an empty chair.
Oh, no.
And a guitar.
Oh, how sad.
Yeah.
Spider, how about doing another tune?
Okay, I'm going to try
I forgot to mention, you're playing next Saturday night at Luna Star Cafe.
Luna Star, that's right.
I want to make sure people know they can see you.
I think there's somehow billing this as a record release or something like that.
Oh, good. Your CD
correct?
release party.
Yes.
And old Folky Jim is here, who's been booking you in Florida when you come here. And Spider's new album is called What's Left of Spider John, and you'll be playing at Luna Star next
I could be political.
Saturday night. What's left? Oh, you think what's left of Spider John's political? There's no politics in your singing, is there, Spider?
I didn't want to put what's right with Spider John.
What song you want to play now?
I'm going to try and do this one. It's it's one of my own. It's a song made up many years. Well, the name of it is Summer of '88, and in 1988, out in the Midwest, was one for the record books pretty much. There was pretty good drought going, and was very hot. It was one of those things everybody remembers, Plus, it was election year, Anyway, this song was, I hadn't written, well, I don't usually write them, I just make them up and remember them, but was the first one I made up after 15 years of not trying to do that. And I tried to sort of get everything in this one song. World view, whatever you want to call it. Something like that.
Spider John Koerner.
It was the summer of '88 on the great Midwestern plains. The heat rolled on and the rain did not rain. It was election year and the candidates were cranking up a storm. They were talking through their hats and blowing hot air. They weren't even getting warm. All around the countryside and the cities and the towns, the price was going up and the quality was going down. Yes, everywhere you'd look and everywhere you'd go, those liberal, conservative, left, right wingers were jawing to the bone. Now the moon hangs low, the moon hangs high, and the good old earth hangs in the sky. The sun never rises and the sun it never sets, and you know it ain't over yet, whoa man. Well, down at the local water hole, some fools was hanging around. They talking about this, they talking about that, the air was getting brown. Their heads was full of sugar plums and fears of the enemy, and the good and the bad and the ugly and some other fantasies. When somebody come walking through the door, they'd look 'em up, they'd look 'em down, they would not look no more. Yes, time was passing and the weather was waiting outside, and for many a soul the water hole was a good place to hide. Now the moon hangs low, the moon hangs high, and the good old earth hangs in the sky. The sun never rises and the sun it never sets yet, and you know it ain't over yet, whoa man. Meanwhile around the world the money boys were working on their game. They're going for the money like they didn't have no shame. And the nasty boys around the world were working on their game. They had drums and guns and sticks and stones, they called each other names. And the science boys, the medicine boys were working on their game. They changing the theories all around and they change them around again. And the religion boys around the world were working on their game, trying to deny that God is God the same. And the average boys around the world were working on their game, letting those other boys tell them how the game is played. Now if men will be boys and women will be girls, tell me what in the world gonna happen to this old world. Well, back at the local water hole, some folks was hanging around. They talking to some other folks that were there from out of town. Was Buffalo Joe and Lou his girl. They were just getting back from a trip around the world. Well, Bill said to Joe, what was it like? Yes, what was it like, said Barbecue Mike. Well, I saw some things I had never seen before, and I'll never be the same again and never no more. Now down in the city and out on the plains, the wind does blow and it blows the same. It blows the leaves and it blows the dust, and it blows on them and it blows on us. Now a red-tailed hawk when he's flying up high can see a little bitty snake with his razor sharp eye. And a 8-hooter owl with her sensitive eye can see many thousand stars more than you and I. Now if anybody asks you who sang this song, tell him it was some fool that had been here and gone. If anybody asked you where did he go, it's far, far away where the cool breezes blow. And the moon hangs low and the moon hangs high, and the good old earth hangs in the sky. The sun never rises and the sun it never sets, and you know it ain't over yet, whoa man. Yeah, the fat lady sang and it ain't over yet. You know the fat lady sang and it ain't over yet.
Spider John Koerner, live in the WLRN studio. That is such a good song, Spider. Why don't you write more songs?
I got burned out.
Burned out by writing too many songs?
Age. Actually, I was, you know Doris Lessing, who she was?
Sounds familiar.
Oh, a writer, real well-known writer.
Okay.
Made quite a name for herself over the years. Very prolific, very interesting. But anyway, she just died at, I think she was 95. And I forget whether I read it or somebody was telling me, but how she had admitted that in the later years it got harder and harder to dredge it up again. That thing. What's his name? Jerry Jeff Walker. I know a guy who was a friend of his, and Jerry Jeff Walker had asked him to help him with a song. He was struggling with it, you know. He said his problem was he had a hardening of the artistry.
Hardening of the